Yeah, we're going to start talking about Tableau conference, which is, if you haven't heard, sneaking up on us really quickly. Instead of the fall, we get it in the spring.
That's going to be interesting. I think I'm trying to remember if I've ever been to a not fall Tableau conference. I don't think so. I think I've had like September's, October's, and November's. But as far as it goes, like I think they've all been fallish. So it'll be interesting to see how this transition goes.
That should be interesting. Yeah, and once as we're getting people on, I'm curious in chat if anyone's planning to attend or thinking about it at least.
Yeah, absolutely. We've had in the past when it was full bore. We've had like a tug breakfast and stuff like that, which was kind of cool, and but I always love running into people. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see.
I had a fun time at conference, however many years ago that was. It seems like last year. I want to say last year because it was the last time we had it in person, and I got to hang out with you, Nelson, and Nathan and Jen, and we watched dolphins. We got a picture somewhere. We got to find that picture of the dolphin jumping up behind us. You know what I'm talking about?
Cool. I will find that picture.
You gotta find that picture.
That's happening now in real time. But yes. And would you call that a highlight of your
Oh, absolutely. We were that was a fun way to start Tableau conference. We got there early and got to explore the pretty side of Vegas, nature and animals, and not the casino part. Aaron said he's hoping to go for first time. That's exciting. So we'll have some first timer. This would be an interesting conference to go for your first time because there's no context, right? So it's just, hey, I'm here, and gosh, I bet it'll be fun.
Yeah. Well, and one of the things is like, as somebody who's been to multiple, like there's definitely a sense. I think the first one I ever went to, there were like 2,000-ish people in 2013. And like, as it's grown, it's like the last one's like over 20,000 people. Right. And so you kind of have this sense of like, man, this thing is so big now that it's tough to find people, or it's tough to like run into folks. And so like, it'll be interesting to like with the 5,000 that is apparently being invited, like, does that make for a more intimate conference? I think it could.
You get to meet a lot more people, probably. It's less intimidating.
Yeah.
The first conference I went to was New Orleans, and that was honestly, if you're ever considering it, and you can make it and you can go, if you're on the fence, I say do it. It was a game changer for me. One of the things that we're also going to be asking about later in our Kahoot, but if you can put it in the back of your head, those of you jumping on here, that we would like to, we're thinking about kicking around an idea of maybe some kind of tug watch party. If we're, those of us who are going to be in Atlanta that week, to just do something fun and network, even if it's just networking and talking about the sessions of the day, that kind of thing. So there's some ideas that we're kicking around. And I got a big yes.
Brian is in. Make that thing happen.
Oh, okay. Well, we might have to make this happen. And cool. I like this idea. So I want to go ahead and get us started and talk about what we're doing today with our BFFs here, Juana and Nicole. And Jen says the Kahoot challenge is to take down Brian because he always makes it to the winner's circle. That's funny. All right. So as things are coming up, so we were talking a little bit, those of you jumping in, we're talking about Tableau conference starting in May. So I'm watching the attendee list grow a little bit. So I'm looping the rest of you back in. And we'll give you some more information in just a moment on that. And we want to make sure that we can get any announcements. So if you want to put in chat any announcements, any kind of, hey, we're hiring, any kind of meetings, anything that let other folks know here what's going on in the ATL. Oh gosh, listen to me. I'll say that. I never say that. in Atlanta area. And then here's that information about conference. Anything you want to add?
Yeah, I think it'd be good to like share what we know, even if it's unofficial that we know it. And so here are the things that we know. We know that it's going to be on these dates. We know it's going to be in Las Vegas. It has been confirmed to me that it's going to be at the one we've been to. Oh my gosh, I'm blanking on the thing. And what's the thing called?
Now my brain did it too. It's the one at the very end.
It's contagious. It's the one that we've been to the last 2 times. Not MGM, but the other one,
Mandalay Bay. Mandalay Bay. Thank you, Jen.
Thank you, Jen.
The one with the House of Blues in it. Like I know all the pieces.
Yeah. So you got that. The other thing that we know, again, unofficially, is that 20% of the spots are going to be for Tableau employees. That's about 1,000 folks, because my math is pretty good. And the other 4,000 spots are going to be for everybody else. So that's like your Zen masters, your ambassadors, and then all the customers that Tableau wants to bring. And then I imagine kind of partners will probably get the last spots there. And so if you want to go, I'm thinking it's going to be a tight squeeze. So the thing you want to know in addition to that is March 15th, write this down, March 15th, the registration will open, and I believe it's going to be open until it fills up. And with 5,000 spots, it could be quick. And so if you want to go, I would talk to whatever organization that would be sponsoring you to go now, so that you have a green light to push a button on March 15th, as opposed to I'll get around to that. Right. So that's like my scientific advice to anybody that wants to go. So this is what we know. And
let's be honest here, another exciting piece of this is it's still virtual too. So if you can't make it, hey, no pressure, because all those previous years that were in person, we didn't get the virtual piece. Now we get that. So we can watch it. And I say we because I'm most likely going to be here in Atlanta with you guys.
So any questions or, guidance, either feel free to drop it in the chat or reach out. We'd love to be helpful to facilitating, anybody who wants to go. So.
And like I said, if those of you jumping on right now, if you want to put any announcements in the chat or if you are looking for employees or if you're hiring, throw that in your chat as well. We're going to be looking at next month, March 17th, we are going to be talking women in data again. So that'll be a fun chat, fireside chat, as they say in the Tableau conference world.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, awesome.
Fireside. All right. And that takes us to.
Speaking of some amazing women in data.
Yeah, it's amazing. So Juana and Nicole are going to introduce each other. And that's because, well, we found out more about them like today, just asking questions. Oh, wait, y'all have known each other a while. Oh, how did you work together? Oh, I want to know more. So I feel like this is a great way for us to get to know our co-hosts and presenters today.
Yeah, thank you so much. Hi, everyone. Thanks for having us. And I love that I get to introduce Nicole. I feel honored to do that. So Nicole is a senior data analyst with a passion for using data visualization to help others. She is involved in Viz for Social Good and building other dashboards around important topics. She has been using Tableau for 5 years and recently joined the Tableau community last year in February. She studied psychology, and prior to becoming an analyst, she worked in a wide range of areas, including human resources, program evaluation, and psychometrics. And outside of Vizing, she is my very good friend. She also enjoys spending time with her husband, with her son, rock climbing, reading, and listening to music.
Awesome. And I'm excited to introduce Juana. So we did not have these like bios prepared for this per se. We were at a bio for something else and Juana had it. So when they were like, hey, introduce each other, we're like, cool, we have bios already. So Juana is a data viz enthusiast and a senior data analyst as well. She studied economics and philosophy prior to beginning her career in higher ed. We both were inspired by the Atlanta Tableau user group because this group is just amazing. And so she and I both started participating in the international Tableau community through ATAG. She's been using Tableau for 5 years. And in addition to visiting, she could spend all day taking care of her orchids, listening to music, and taking care of her pup, Billie Jean Queen. So that's a little bit about us. And we're here today to talk about, we've known each other forever. And so one of the things that we have started doing was collaborating on creating vizzes together. And it's just been such an amazing experience. And as we joined the Tableau community and started talking to other people, a lot of questions we got asked were like, I would love to collaborate, but how can you do it, especially if you're doing it with somebody, halfway across the world? So that's what we're gonna go through today.
Thanks, Nicole. So first, we want to talk about how we started collaborating, and it's so fun to say that we started our collaboration right here at ATAG. As you already heard, until very recently, Nicole and I worked together at Emory University. And when the pandemic hit in the middle of the spring 2020 semester, our work life got pretty crazy. We had many urgent requests, late nights, and weekend projects. So when ATAG announced the Iron Viz competition in early 2021, it was really just what we needed. We needed a reason to do something for ourselves and work on something fun and exciting. So we decided to collaborate on the viz for the competition. And we submitted a viz on Dolly Parton called Dolly Parton Storybook. And we won best overall, best design, and best storytelling. So that just gave us a lot of confidence, and we got started collaborating. And since then, we haven't been able to stop. We keep getting together and working on projects.
So some of the examples are that we've done together are, as Juana said, the Dolly Parton one, which is actually 5 dashboards in one. So each tab is a different dashboard. These are some examples of the one dashboards in it. After that, we got together and we did one about women in government. And for this one, it was really fun because we decided, instead of just showing that there's inequity about the number of women in government, we really wanted to dive into this like chicken and egg problem of, well, there's not a lot of women in government because there's not a lot of policies that can help that, but you need women in government in order for the government to focus on making policies that will help women get into government. So that was a really fun project that we worked on together. And then the one that we're going to review today, that we're going to use as our example on how we collaborate, is the one that we did most recently, which was for Viz for Climate Action around climate financing, which again was probably 5 dashboards in one, considering how long it is. And we're working on one that should come out within the next month, hopefully. That's our goal, around women and climate change, and kind of going around a Captain Planet theme.
So as Nicole said, today we're going to highlight our most recent collaboration, which was done for Viz for Climate Action. Tableau Public teamed up with, or I think the Sustainable Development Goals Project teamed up with Tableau Public for a challenge centered around the 4 goals of the climate change conference that happened last fall in Scotland. And the challenge was to visualize one or all 4 of the climate change conference goals. And after reading many articles and many Zoom calls, we decided to focus on the financing goal, since meeting this specific goal is crucial to meeting the other 3 goals.
So once we decided that we were going to tackle that goal, we realized that one of the reasons that it's not focused on a lot, usually what's focused on is the mitigation, so keeping everything below 1.5 Celsius, or the adaptation, which is kind of spending money on climate consequences that are happening now, such as like funding for Hurricane Katrina relief, things like that, is because it is complicated and it is not very well understood and not very well tracked. So the first thing that we always do when we collaborate is focus on the research to figure out how can we viz this and make it in a way that people can understand. As we said, we both come from academic backgrounds. So, I mean, for me personally, a lot of my vizzes tend to be like visual lit reviews. And this was one thing where when you collaborate with someone, this can really help a viz go really deep, because these are the links. These aren't even all the links. These are most of the links that we like went through and we each read. And I know one of them, the third one, was 100 pages, 100-page PDF. So we say they're articles, but like they're huge. But being able to work together and kind of read them, each read them, and we each came up with a different perspective from them. And we collaborate using Google Docs for this. So our main kind of framework is with Google Drive so that we can easily share files. And we just go through, the first thing we do is we go through, we find a topic. And I want to say topic and not research question, because if you have a topic that you're interested in, you can come up with the research question together. So our topic was climate finance, and we each came at it from different points of view. So, and we'll talk about that a little more later. And we go through and we just read through them, and we start in Google Docs creating outlines of the areas that we're really interested in focusing on. And since we can both go in there and we can see what each other wrote and what each other wants to do, we can create an outline of how we want to visit. And our outlines are always bigger than anything we could do individually, because there wouldn't be time to like read through all this and do something that large on our own. And so that's why all of our vizzes are long form, or 5 dashboards in one.
So as Nicole mentioned, this was a pretty challenging topic for us to understand. And I would say that out of all the projects we've worked on together, this one took us the longest amount of time to complete the research and really understand the topic. But eventually we narrowed it down, and we decided that what we wanted to show was where we are in terms of financing and what is at stake. But this is just such a complex topic, and to tell the full story and to tell the clear story, we had a very long list of other questions that we felt was important to cover, such as what exactly is climate change? How urgent is it? How is the financial support distributed? So each one of these additional questions could be its own viz. So our next challenge was, how do we address all of this in one data viz? So we had to, at this point, decide what is the goal of our viz? What exactly do we want our viz to do? And in determining that, we were able to take all of these questions and create the layout of our viz and answer our top question: where are we in terms of financing and what is at stake? And Nicole will talk a little bit more about what the goal of our viz was, what we decided after doing all of this research.
After doing all this, we decided like our goal was just to educate. And the reason was because, I mean, it was so hard to find information about what climate finance was. I remember calling Juana after reading an article. I'm like, I think this one, if you put this article and this article together, you can now understand this article over here. And it was just confusing. So we wanted to educate it in an interesting way, as well as tell the whole story. And again, working together really helped us figure out what the whole story was, because, you know, for example, Juana and I both were really interested in kind of knowing how this affects disadvantaged groups. And so because we could talk together and we could go through it, you know, there would be times where I'm like, well, let's just do this. And Juana's like, well, I don't understand the background. It's because, oh, I understand it so well, I don't think about communicating it, and vice versa. You know, Juana's like, let's go here. I'm like, well, I need a little more context on that. So we were able to actually tell this interesting story and whole story because we were bouncing off of each other. So these are some snippets of it because it's huge. It was really fun, again, working this way, because after we came up with what we wanted to do, we each got to pick areas that we wanted to focus on in Viz. So for example, let me move my mouse here. This one down here, this kind of chart with the half circles was something that I was really interested in creating. So I got to do that part, whereas Juana hadn't created a map before with like the curves on it. So she created that, and we were able to help each other with these new chart skills and also kind of learn on our own while tackling this huge project. So we've focused in on, developed versus developing countries up here. So the developing countries really aren't emitting as many carbon emissions, but they're definitely feeling the impact of climate change. We wanted to focus on women versus men because with most things, women are disproportionately hurt by climate change, but also they're not getting the funding that they need to fight it. And part of the reason, and these financing funds have been aware of this and growing it, is because they didn't have women on their boards. So people who were deciding where the money went were mostly male. And so they were going to mostly male projects. And it has been a goal, and they've been going towards parity to help with that. And then this idea again of adaptation versus mitigation to show that the mitigation, which is keeping things below 1.5 Celsius, that is where a lot of the focus and a lot of the news stories and prompts are. But the actual goal of the UN is to have 50-50 financing for both. And it's not that way. A lot more financing is going towards mitigation than adaptation.
So once we had a nice or our initial layout of the viz, and we decided who's going to do what, and we started working on our charts, we signed up for a feedback session, and we really want to emphasize the importance of feedback. You can see at the top is our initial design. We don't even have all of our charts ready yet, and the bottom image is our revised and final dashboard that we submitted. We signed up for this session pretty early on, but we received such great feedback that it really helped us really submit this on time. I think if we would have waited until we had a more final product to ask for feedback, we would have been up all night leading up to the deadline. There are so many great resources in the Tableau community for feedback. In this case, we attended Michelle and Zach's office hours. And I also want to say that attending these feedback sessions and reaching out and asking for feedback is another form of collaboration. Not only you are connecting with other people in the community, but you are going to learn so much from some of the best. Just hearing how they are thinking through your viz and the type of questions they're asking to figure out what you were thinking is a great opportunity for learning. And in some of these sessions, you also get the opportunity to listen to them review other vizes. So it's just really wonderful. You get to improve the viz that you are currently working on, but you're also learning new things for future projects.
Yeah, and as Juana said, if you're not up for doing a full collaborative viz together, just stopping in for office hours is a way to meet new people and get to know people. And from there, then maybe once you have time, you'll be able to jump in. So feedback is great. There's a lot of, as Juana said, resources out there on ways to feedback as well. Get feedback.
So next, I want to highlight some of the benefits of collaborating. Some of them, of course, are pretty straightforward. Expanding your skills, which of course you can do this by working on your own on a new viz. But if you are collaborating with someone, that person is going to bring in a different perspective, most likely a different design sensibility, different skills, and it's a really great opportunity to learn new things while you are doing a hands-on project. And at the end of learning all of this, you also have something wonderful, a finished product. The other thing is improved communication. So in our work life, even if we collaborate with a colleague on a project, we have all of these parameters. We have templates, and we have colors and fonts that we have to use per corporate decisions. We have specific questions from our stakeholders. And in most cases, we know our audience pretty well. So even if you are collaborating with someone, you do have to sort of follow all these parameters, and the discussion that you're having with your colleague is very different from the discussion that you will have when you are collaborating with someone outside of work. Because you are now working on a topic that hopefully both of you enjoy and love, and your audience is really virtually everyone out there. You can use any color and font. You can choose to take the story in any direction that you find interesting. So the type of conversations that will come from this type of work are just really interesting and a really great opportunity for growth. Very different type of communication, very different type of conversations. And I think one of the greater benefits of collaborating. And as I mentioned, hopefully, and ideally you want to pick someone who is interested in the same topic that you are interested in. Not only it's going to make the work more fun and it will make you look forward to it, but it's a great opportunity to select a more complex topic. And since you are collaborating, you'll be able to complete this project much faster because it's more than one of you working on it. So you can really dive into something that maybe on your own might seem like a little bit too much. The other benefit is that you will connect with new people in the data community. So not just the person that you're collaborating with, but everyone else, maybe the folks that you'll reach out to for feedback. Once you publish your Viz to Tableau Public and social, you will get reactions and comments from the rest of the Tableau community. And it's a really great way to connect and make new friends and hopefully stay inspired to continue to learn and work on more Vizes and grow these relationships. And my favorite one, this is definitely my favorite part of collaborating, is sharing the joy. And this starts very early on, from when you decide what you are going to focus on, to deciding on what type of charts you're going to do. Sometimes just deciding on the colors is really exciting after you spend maybe an hour going back and forth. Coming up with a fun, catchy title for your presentation is really great when you get to celebrate that with your partner. And if the Viz that you created is going to win a competition or become Viz of the day, it's just so fun to pick up the phone and call the person that you've been spending so much time with and celebrate together and maybe even let out a scream. Nicole and I have done that. So these are some of the benefits, some that I think are the greatest, but I know there are many more.
So some tips for when you are, if you decide like, hey, I really want to do a collaboration, how do you get started? The first one is, finding somebody, and I'll talk about that a little bit in a minute, some ways to help with that. But first is just to, find somebody that you've talked to in the community, or you've seen, even if you haven't talked to them, but you've seen their Tableau work and you like their stance, and just kind of reach out to them. Try to find someone, if depending on your goal, either find someone with the same technical expertise as you, or someone who has different styles, and then you guys can kind of work together and you'll learn a new style as well. Someone with a different design eye than yours is always really fun, because it can kind of break you out if you have a not a template, but kind of like a set style. You're always doing dark Vizes or something like that. Working with someone who always does light Vizes is a fun way to break out of your comfort zone. And again, someone that you're just going to have fun with, because in theory, you'll spend a decent amount of time. I mean, you can collaborate on Vizes much shorter than ours, but you're still going to be spending time together working on it. As I said, select a topic that you both enjoy and want to research and look into. I found that if someone kind of comes into a collaboration saying, I want to do this, it doesn't always work out because they're not really open to the other person's ideas. And if you have something that's like, I know exactly what I'm doing, maybe you do that one on your own and you find somebody who's interested in a different topic, because there's always things to biz about. Clearly communicating available time and timelines. This is key for us because I have a toddler, so my timelines are a little bit weird. And so when we were working together, I was telling Juana from the start, I can work on this after bedtime, which is after 8 p.m. Or on the weekends during nap time, because nap time is sacred. And I'm really afraid when nap time ends, which I know is coming up soon. But because I said that, and we had that expectation going in, we were able to backtrack, because for this viz we had a deadline. So we were able to back into, okay, this is our timeline, this is what we need to do. And Juana wasn't annoyed with me when I said, I'll be available all the time, and then I never show up. Like, that just creates a bad relationship. And creating your collaboration kit. This one is probably the most important besides communication. So how are you going to collaborate? Especially if you are working with someone who isn't near you or isn't at your work or anything. So I'll show next slide. I did put out a blog post on ways to create these collaboration kits and how to collaborate. And so the brief rundown of that is, one, always communicate is the biggest one. Some of the things that have worked really well for us are Google Drive and Figma, which we actually learned about Figma through an ATED meeting that Nelson and Nathan presented at over a year ago now. But Figma has been great because Figma is a wireframing tool. And so, for example, the snapshot of our viz that we're going to do around women and climate around the Clapton planet is a screenshot from Figma. And it works similar to Google Docs, where you can both go in, you can see what each other's doing. You're not worried about overwriting each other. And so we'll do our full layouts there because Tableau isn't the best at, if two people have it open, you're going to save over each other's work. So we do everything in there. And then once we know the kind of charts we want to do, we know our story, we know our outline and our design, we split up and we say, okay, I'm going to take these charts, you take these charts, and then we'll marry it together at the end. So that's been working really well for us. But sometimes, maybe just emailing files back and forth is what's going to work better. I know people have done some really cool things around GitHub and being able to just see exactly what people change through the XML that's in GitHub, and that is over my head. So, but it's really cool, and you can do that as well. Other areas, if you want to share just data through Kaggle or data.world, however it is, just make sure that you do communicate that and get that set up right away. And then how you're going to publish and share the viz is important. So, making sure that you share it when you're both are ready, that you guys decide if you're going to, one person shares it. If you're on Twitter, one person shares it and one person quotes it. If you're both going to share it, just how you want that relationship to go, because it's kind of an afterthought, but it's important. It's not something you want to get to the end and you're like, well, wait, now how are we going to share it? Who's going to share where? Who's going to do what? So just kind of talking about that as well is important. So as I said, the first QR code is a blog post on tips for collaborating. If you're interested, if collaboration is something that you've really been wanting to do, you're not sure how to start, you can go there and just get some tips and tricks. And then because Juana and I collaborate so much and we have such a great time, I was talking with other people in the community because we're the dynamic duo is what some people have called. So they're like, oh, how did you guys meet? How do you work together? I'd love to collaborate, but I'm afraid of cold calling someone. Like, what if I reach out and they're like, actually, no. So, and then I worked on a project with Biz for Social Good around a survey research, a survey that they did. And several of the answers in the survey were like, this would be a lot better if I could collaborate. Like, I love it, but to take it to the last level, I'd love to collaborate with someone. So kind of keeping all that in mind, one of the things that I started in January was this idea of this Biz Collab. So you can go to the blog post, and if you're interested in collaborating with someone, all you have to do is sign up. There's a Google form, you put your name and contact info in, and then I'll go through, and if there's people who kind of have similar in the collaboration, I'll match them up. So we had a really good start to this. and then I had a hiccup. So I launched it in early January, and I've probably matched about 30 people up right now. But of course, I sent the bulk of the matches up on a Sunday in January. And then either that Monday or Tuesday, Iron Biz was announced. So we kind of put a lot on hold, but now we're back up, and I'm going to start circling back with people again to see if they're still interested. And we're definitely keeping this up and going. So are there any questions? I'm pulling up the chat now.
Here we go. Blaze, great job. Kimberly asked, are there collab opportunities for someone new to Tableau or with limited exposure to building dashboards, vizzes, and then mentor type learning collabs? So
always.
Yeah.
There always is. I would say, especially if you are really looking to upskill your Tableau fast, joining the community on Twitter is an amazing way to do it. I've been using Tableau for 5 years before joining the community through ATAG. And my growth from the 5 years was like this, and then I joined the community, and all of a sudden, like, my skills shot up. So just joining the community, you're going to be getting ideas, and you're going to be getting inspiration, and you'll meet. There's so many people who are new as well. All you have to do is say, hey, I'm new, and 20 people are going to retweet and say, hey, this person's new, come join us. But then also, especially with the Biz Collab, one of the things that I put in there is, what is your level if you're beginner, intermediate, advanced, and who do you want to work with? And so if there are people who are more advanced who say like, hey, I'm open to, mentoring somebody, then I'll match them up. Otherwise, just going to the community and kind of talking to people, anyone will be able to help. I'll be able to help. So if anyone wants to reach out to me.
Love that. One of the questions I had as I was watching all this, I love you guys talked about so many great opportunities to partner and kind of come up with the design. You're doing it virtually and kind of in an asynchronous way. I'm curious, what parallels have you brought into a business context with the teams that you're working with, assuming that it's in a remote and async type of way as well? What are some of these things that are direct parallels to hey, I've also implemented this at my job doing whatever, and this has been a catalyst for that. So I was just curious where you found parallels that have made the business side of this better too.
Yeah, I will say that in our office, we don't often work together on this type of projects, but after my boss saw the work that Nicole and I were doing together outside of work, he said, you two have to find a way to implement some of this in our work at the office. And instead of you, Juana, working on these projects all by yourself that are all in Tableau and Nicole doing her own Tableau projects, we have to find a way for you to work together and collaborate on these projects. So it was not something that Nicole and I thought about while we were doing this outside of work, but he noticed it and he brought it to our attention. And we definitely started assigning work in a more collaborative way, which I think was great because it was cross-training on different type of subject matters. Nicole got to work on some of my survey projects. I got to work on some of her student success projects. So from my personal experience, that was the advantage that we saw in the actual work life. Yeah.
And I would say for me, the biggest thing that I've been able to kind of bring to work, both at Emory and I've done it at Cox as well, is bringing in this idea of wireframing and using Figma. Just knowing that it's something that I can quickly pull together, take, a PDF of, if that's what I need to, JPEG, or, invite someone in and share it with somebody faster is something that I've really been able to bring into the workplace, because I can say, hey, this is the direction I'm going, what do you think? And then I have that opportunity to collaborate. Because I think in the business place, at least, especially in higher ed, deadlines can be fast. And so being able to, a lot of times, you know, you don't collaborate on a work project solely because you don't have time to. So bringing in some of these tips and tricks to make it has been really helpful.
I love that.
There we go. There's the unmute. I wanted to ask a quick question too, and not to put you on the spot, but my brain went to, you know, if I was collaborating, and what would be the skills that I feel like I could bring to the table versus what would I need help with? Like I would ping a Nathan, for example, hey, kind of struggling with these date calculations. Can you help me out? So I'm curious what you would say the other person's strengths are for this. Don't worry, you won't get a weaknesses. I'm not gonna, it's not your quarterly review or anything.
I mean, Juana has so many strengths, but let me tell you what, she can come up with a title that is so catchy that like everyone will be interested immediately. And her colors are just amazing. Like, I feel like I was joking about it with Michelle actually in one of her office hours, that every time I go to office hours, she asks me like, what is up with your colors? And then she laughed at me, and then I showed my biz and she's like, yeah, what's up with your colors? Juana doesn't have that problem. She is fantastic at it.
Interesting.
Yeah, so the way we work, to take our dates example, we typically we each pick something we really want to learn and build for the first time or just get better at doing. So we really try to do it on our own for as long as possible. And if it's just, if we really get stuck, we reach out to the other person and say, hey, like I really can get this to work. I'm at this point where I'm just clicking on everything and I don't even know what I'm doing anymore. Can you take a look? So we don't really reach out that fast when it comes to actual Tableau technical questions because we want to figure it out on our own. But in terms of Nicole's strengths, I will also say that she has so many. My favorite thing about Nicole is that as soon as we decide on a topic, she's able to find 5-10 minutes and go into Figma and just put everything we just talked about in Figma. So then next time I go there, I already have this great layout of everything we just talked about in our last Zoom. Even if we cut back 80%, it's just wonderful that everything is already in this document that we can quickly review. And instead of just sitting in an email or a Word document, she puts it all there with titles and subtitles. And yeah, Nicole gets the ball rolling.
Love that.
I feel like you've really painted a picture of how this could be work in any environment at all. And I'm thinking about, okay, how I need to get on this Figma thing. That's for sure. I'm not on the Figma train yet. I need to get on it. It sounds like,
Oh, you need to get there.
Yeah, for sure.
I know a lot of people are on Figma and they're like, it's because of all the fonts. And for me, Figma is because I do a layout and then I realize I need to add, 400 pixels to the bottom of my Tableau. And when you do that in Tableau, everything changes. And Figma, that's why I use Figma. It's not for the fonts. It's because I hate resizing everything when I have to add.
I will say my boss is, I try to propose that to him, he's not for it. He feels it's just another tool, something else to pay for. So it's, we can't really implement it at work, but it works great on these projects outside of work.
One of the questions we just got in chat, sorry to jump in, was if we could share a Figma example. We can probably throw in a link to the great Figma example that Nathan here presented on. So we'll throw that link in there if we need to.
Hey, ladies, y'all have one that would be shareable?
I mean, yeah, I can share.
Oh, that'd be great.
We toss it back to you if you want.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm pulling it up. 2 screens.
While you pull that up, I was going to say there is a hack to maximize your free Figma account. You basically create a new project or a new team for every project. So they limit you on the number of projects within teams. I think it's up to 3 now. And so I just created a new project or new team for every thing that I'm working on. And I've been using Figma for several years now and have yet to pay a single dollar to them, unfortunately, as much as I love Figma.
Yes, we do pages. We're like, all right, one project, but how many pages can we get in? And then like once
Exactly,
we reach our
yeah.
end, like the canvas is huge. So we'll just like keep this on the side and we'll do our next one on, over to it. But this is Figma. So what we use Figma for is the background. So there's no charts in here because all the charts are done in Tableau, but we use this for the layout. So it's how we create, our titles and everything. I don't know, one is not on right now, but if one were on up here, you would see an O up here as well. And so you would see exactly what she's typing, what she's doing, even where she's editing. Because I know I could tell like if she clicked on a box, like that box would highlight with her initial on it. So I knew exactly where she was. And so what we do with this is, we'll create, our outline, how long we think it's going to be. This one maxed out at the 10,000 pixels wide. And then we'll lay it out here. And then, for example, we knew what graph we wanted. So we'll take the graph, put it in Tableau, kind of figure out how big it needs to be in order to, do what we want. And then we put a fake box in here to say this space will be our chart. And that's how we kind of keep up where our charts are versus our text. And then once we're done, we export this as an image and then float all our charts.
Nicole, can you show how, so within a frame, so the upper left corner of your frame 5 is pixel 0, 0 within the frame. So XY would be 0, 0. And it matches perfectly to Tableau. So if you create a frame or a dashboard within Tableau that's 10,000 wide and 1,000 high, and then you float a worksheet at wherever that, you can figure out exactly what pixel that is. And that's the biggest difference. So they mentioned, oh, I see, it's similar to Mural. And it is, but it's more pixel perfect. It's closer to Adobe Illustrator than it is to Mural. We use a competitor to Mural called Miro. I know it's like the same word almost, but we use that for more like medium fidelity wireframing. But this is like pixel perfect and goes straight into Tableau, how you'd expect.
And so once you create a frame, like everything in the frame will export. So we just export it, 2 times PNG. And then when you bring it into Tableau, just make sure you fit it and you remove all the padding that Tableau automatically adds when you add an image. And as Nathan said, it'll be pixel perfect. It'll show up. The resolution will be great. And, when I put a chart here and I figure out it's at, X, whatever, lost it. So this 10,000 wide, 1,000 high, when I put a chart here, it'll have my X and Y coordinates in there.
Yes, so Nicole, hit R. Yep, and then drag a little square kind of where you would want the Tableau Viz to be. And so you can figure out exactly, you can line it up perfectly. There's all these guides and things.
I love their guides. So
and you can figure out exactly the X, Y, width, and height that the chart needs to be when you float it on top. Super cool.
Yeah. And you can figure out when you're stacking things like this, like next to each other, the guides will tell you like there's 24 pixels between these two. You probably want 24 between these two. So it's really upped the design aspect. And then just put my chart here.
And if this whole idea of like having a background and then visualizations and so forth kind of blew your mind, I remember the first person I ever met who explained all this, this guy named Ryan Robitaille, and he was like a Zen master in like 2012, and I just went and pulled up his like blog post from like 2013 or no, December 2012. Still just as applicable today as it was back then. But let me see if I hold on. Let me see if I can share the screen real fast. So the reason that I'm showing y'all this, can y'all see me? Nope, that was the wrong one. Ha! Are you guys looking at dolphins?
No, I see floating tiles.
Oh, you see floating tiles, sweet. Okay, so this was his little dashboard. It was like, dude, how in the world did you even do that, right? And we wouldn't think of this as super pretty now. But what he did was he actually went and showed, all right, look, you know, I've got, here's a viz, this is 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 a viz. This is a static image, right? In order to kind of create that rip looking up here thing right here. And then, you know, this is just freeform text that I just wrote down. And so like I just thought this was super cool because it shows you like, okay, if you want to do something that has that level of creativity, you have to create this many sheets or you're going to get really creative or something like that. Right. And so I always looked at this, I was like, man, like this was like the blueprint for me to like start creating like really cool stuff. And so anyway, I thought this was just as pertinent because this is what Nicole, you and Juana are showing right here as well.
Yeah.
But y'all are like, you know, the version 37 of it.
It all started with ATUG. It all started with us seeing your guys' presentation on how you use Figma, which was great. I saw some questions about mobile. And so, yeah, for when we do something like this, we make it a fixed width chart. And then if I remember, I delete the mobile layout. And if I don't remember, I post it on Twitter and someone tells me to delete the mobile layout because that definitely does not look good.
Yes, you could create a second background for the mobile layout.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But my experience with Tableau just in general is that the mobile friendly is not that friendly for mobile.
There's too many mobiles is really the issue.
Right. Well, I'm looking to see if there's any other questions. This has been a great conversation on collaboration using Figma. Any other questions?
I had a quick question from early in your presentation. Sorry, Anna.
Oh, go ahead.
So you guys had these little floating, it was like little spheres with spheres around it. Do you remember how you did that?
Oh yeah, the half
that was
spheres?
PowerPoint. Go ahead, Nicole.
The half sphere chart.
Mm-hmm. Those are cool looking. They look three-dimensional, but I imagine it's just it's an icon that makes it look like it's 3D.
Yep. So this one. So I cheated, and yeah, these are images. So we created the icons in Figma using a gradient. And the Flurledge twins have a great blog. I think, can't remember if it's the Yes Polygon or No Polygon, but it's one of those two blogs on like how you can layer shapes to get the sizing right.
Mm-hmm.
So we created the icons in Figma and exported them and then brought them into Tableau as custom shapes and then sized it based on the percentage. However, CJ Mays put out a blog post towards the end of the year on how to do this with polygons, and I'm awful at polygons. So if you want to do it actually in Tableau, like the right way, you can go to his blog as well.
Cool. Any other questions from the audience here?
I am going to go ahead and jump us into Kahoot.
Thank you, ladies. Great stuff.
Thank you guys.
Everyone.
Well, I was hoping y'all would want to join us for a Kahoot as well. So
we'll stay on.
and Nicole's are going to stay on. Awesome. And I am going to flip my screen here. Which one is it going to share? We don't know. Sometimes it's just up for grabs. Let's see. Do you see Kahoot now?
We do. Come on.
Yeah.
Awesome. Let me move this thing out of the way. I don't like that. All right. So what we're going to do here, if you haven't already played, you can download the app, but it might take a second. So you can go to kahoot.it. So right here, www.kahoot.it. You can use the app, or now we have a QR code. Let's expand it. Here you go. And you can join us for some fun questions. Today, they're around a few things we talked about today. And also there's a little bit of a Valentine's Day vibe since we had that last week. And remember, as you type in your name, make sure it's family friendly, family program.
And then Anna, tell the audience, what could they win today?
Oh, that's a great question. Today we have a gift card to the Tableau store. And before I say the amount, I believe it's the same as we've been doing it, but I'll let my back channel tell me if I'm correct or not. And like I said, go ahead and add your name here. You have prizes always.
$30.
All right, cool.
And
$30.
so Jen, is it 30 to anyone on the podium or to 30 just to the top winner? All three. So if you make it in the top 3, you're getting $30, which is enough to get a Data Fam t-shirt, which is awesome.
I was looking at the store the other day, and there's some sales there going on and some really cool shirts. So tempted.
Yeah, especially as we get closer to Tableau conference, they're going to be releasing some new merch, I'm sure.
Some fun stuff. And all right, so I'll give you all another minute here. Nathan, want to tell anybody what you're up to this weekend in Colorado? Y'all just got more snow, right? Am I right about that?
We did, yeah. I have no plans this weekend, actually. We went skiing last weekend.
What a life. I love that. We're still part of Atlanta, but we get to live vicariously through you as you're in Colorado. We'll bring you back.
ATL.
For life. All right.
Lived there 18 years. Counts for something.
I believe I've lived in Atlanta along Atlanta area longer than anywhere else now in my life, although I grew up in Athens. All right, so we'll give you, it's like we've got a good number of people on here as we're jumping in. If we go ahead and start and you decide you want to join, it will let you log in. It'll keep the pin and everything there in front of you. So we will go ahead and start this game already. All right, so Kahoot is ready. Hopefully the sounds okay there. And let's go.
Here we go.
Okay, first 2 questions are poll questions. So we do want a little bit of knowledge just for our planning purposes.
I'm going to be tuning in live from the Alteryx conference.
I'm going to most likely be virtual. And it's just because of the timing didn't line up for me. But, oh, we got a bunch of things. But everyone understood the question, and that's important. All right, next up, another poll. If we were to host an in-person watch party, would you attend?
Love the what is TC? Well played.
When you write multiple choice questions, you have to, as a poll, you have to make sure you're representing everybody that could be in the audience. So we got a lot of yes and maybes. Good.
And what is TC? That is Tableau Conference.
Yep. Tableau
something
Conference.
that data nerds look forward to every year.
Hey, if you know, you know. That's all I gotta say. If you know, you know.
True. All right, now this counts for you. In what month is the Tableau
$90
conference?
on the line. Here we go. What month?
Yeah, so we did talk about this in the beginning, but you can Google it.
I guess you could Google all the questions, though, couldn't you, Ada?
You could. It's true. It's a life skill. Googling is a life skill there. Yep, May. It's in May, baby. This year they changed it up.
17th through the 19th, people.
All right.
Be there,
Ooh,
be
look, it's
virtual.
Nikki and then Viz Guy Bry. Wonder who that could be. And we've got a few more letters below that. Here we go. True or false? Can you use the lookup function in an LOD calculation? And I did give you a visual there to help you as a hint.
This would be a good one to have the what is a lookup function inside of, in addition to true and false.
Oh, correct. What is a lookup? Because so this split. So what type of calculation are for Tableau's purposes is a lookup function? Y'all want to help me out?
It's a table calc.
Table calc. Good. And a table calc executes where in the order of operations in relation to an LOD?
Afterwards.
After. So mathematically, can you have a table calc in nested in an LOD?
No, false.
Negative.
That's the
Oh,
logic.
Nikki.
It's the lot. That's the logic. All right. We got a number one is CT. All right. So this calculation, pay close attention to those brackets there. What does it return the sum of sales for?
What is this photo?
It's Benjamin Franklin with on the money with
It's
sunglasses.
the NFT that Anna bought yesterday.
It's just something I wanted a different one, but I couldn't find it, and that was what I got. So everything in context is the answer. Yes. And Nathan, you want to explain the logic on this one?
Yeah.
If someone wants to
So
know.
the curly brackets, basically, this is a global max or global, kind of looking across the whole data source, except for it happens after context filters. So this is effectively like writing a fixed on nothing sum of sales. And so you don't have to include the fixed part. You can just say sum of sales. And then if you, let's say you put geo on filters and you add that filter to context, then changing the geo would actually change the sum of sales because you're changing the context for that fixed calculation. Anything after that, so a blue dimension filter would filter within the context of this. So
yeah, and Tableau calls this
teacher.
a table scoped calculation. So and it does execute like a fixed level of detail. So in the order of operations, that's where it executes. It's just so it's not executing on a specific dimension. If you don't have a filter, by the way, if you're not using any filters in context, then it's going to return everything in the table. So just a little information we're dropping on you as you're working in Tableau. A lot of y'all are like, yes, I knew that.
Good job.
All right. I get a lot of questions on optimization, especially with filters. So some simple tweaks could be the type of filter you use. In this case, we're just saying true, false here. Continuous versus discrete in a date filter. Ooh, that was a hard one, I think. Yeah, so continuous will render faster, and it's because of the way Tableau has to run the query in the back end to add up all the values or find all the values discretely, versus continuous is between two values. Instead of finding one point, it's between two. So it's a little faster with continuous. Feel free to give any more feedback on that, y'all.
When the other thing too is it's how the database thinks about things, right? It's basically, is start date less than this date, right? And so that would be a continuous. But if you had to enunciate what the dates were, then you have a lot of things to go check.
Exactly.
Yeah, so it's basically you're asking Tableau to do one extra step to convert it from continuous to discrete.
All right, so this has to do with today's presentation. If you want to do a collaboration, you can connect through. Nicole has an initiative that she talked about, and Nicole and Juana were able to do collaboration through Biz Collab. There you go.
Oh.
Well
No
done,
one
man.
went Data FamCon.
I love it.
Data FamCon.
But you know what Data FamCon is? Another initiative at
Is it a thing?
Yes, it is a thing. And actually I should have used the hashtag for there. Yes, Nicole can talk about it in a little bit too. It is another way of collaborating and working with people in the data fam with similar interests. I read your blog post. All right, look at this. CT is holding strong, but we got some folks jumping in coming up.
Is that Caroline on my team? Caroline Touchberry, perhaps? Let's see.
All right, so this is our Valentine's dates. Get it? All right, so date part, some of these date functions, some of them return string and some integer. And of course, you don't have to memorize these because Tableau gives you all those little hints built in the calculations. So don't be so hard on yourself if you can't remember them off the top of your head, because half the time I can't either. Date part's going to give you the date part of the date as an integer. That is, luckily they give you these little shortcuts in the back end. Just Google. That's all you need to know. All right. What you guys think?
Is this a trick question, Anna?
I hope not, because that means I put the wrong answer.
Ooh.
Should be pretty clear. I had you check my answers. Yes, because this year is not a leap year. So there's no 29th.
Interesting.
But if it had been Feb 28, 2022, would it have returned true?
Say it again.
If it had been one date either direction, would it have returned true?
28, it would be returned true when we get there. Or if we have the data in there, if we don't have the data.
I'm so intrigued right now. I'm opening Tableau in this moment. I don't know the is date function.
It's interesting because Tableau
that.
recognizes the leap days. And of course, it's not a leap year. So we don't have the 29th.
That makes sense. I want to know more about is date.
I will say I've learned this week that century years not divisible by 400 do not have leap days. So 1900 wasn't a leap year. The more you know. All right, so let's get them. Looking good. Nancy's on fire. All right, last one. Which one converts a string to a date? Date parse. Awesome. All right, let's see where everybody is. And our podium looks like third is Nancy. Yay! Well
Nancy.
done. Biz Guy Bry. And who could it be? Who could
CT?
it be? CT. Is CT who you think it is?
No.
Ooh. And then MT and Ben.
It is.
It is. It's
Good
Caroline.
job, Caroline.
Oh, hey, Caroline. Nice.
Georgia
Well
Tech graduate, you know. It's got to
Well
hire the
done.
best.
Catching that vision.
For sure. Let me bring in our deck here while we're seeing everyone. Now I just flipped my screen. So let me.
Hey guys, if
There's a flip button.
you're one of the winners,
Ooh.
can you please message the hosts and send us your email address so we can send you a gift card? Except for you, Caroline, we know you.
Get my screen. All right.
We'll send it to you in Teams.
Here we go. Share. There we go. Hopefully you're seeing the right screen now.
Yeah, come on.
Here we go. All right. Figuring things out here. Like, what's technology, Anna? I don't know. All right. So getting all my little pieces back. I had to switch screens there. I can't see anyone's faces, but I'll just pretend.
All right, we're still here.
So, the next time we meet, we're going to be in March, and we're going to be discussing women in data. We're going to have our panelists and some questions to ask. So if you have specific questions to ask females in data, or just specifically data in general, when it comes to maybe interviewing or the processes, seeing if they're different. If you have any kind of questions that you'd want to ask somebody, feel free to ping us and give us some information, some questions, some feedback that you'd like to see.
Yeah, we always dig into kind of growing your career and kind of people's journeys as they have kind of, gotten into the world of data and then kind of grown over the course of time. And so if that's something you'd like to dig in and have, questions about anything, definitely send those along. And I think there's another opportunity too, like if there's presentations or topics or anything in Tableau land that you'd like to have us dive into, we'd always love to take your thoughts on that. So definitely either hit us up on chat or shoot us an email or whatever that looks like. That would be awesome.
And I'm gonna put into chat, just so everyone has the link to our user groups. And we have a lot of other ways to get in touch with us. Make sure that you can find us easily there. And by the way, Nancy, nice last name. That's my maiden name, Lloyd, spelled with 2 L's. Well done. Like there's another.
So does Nancy from Cox and Brian Ellison from Central Garden and Pit. Congratulations, guys.
Yeah.
Caroline Touchberry from Analytic Vision.
And we are ending a little earlier today. So if you have any last minute questions you want to throw in chat, we got a little time. Usually we're like racing at the end. We have a little time today. Otherwise, I'll hang out soon.
Looking forward to it. Thanks everybody for coming. We'll see you in March. It's gonna be awesome. And then hopefully we get to see even more of you out in Las Vegas.
For sure. All right, y'all. Have a great day.
Thanks, y'all.
Oh, this was a great group. This was so fun.